What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Badass Agents Podcast. I'm your host, AZ Araujo. Now, today's topic is expansion and sustainability. Now, before I get started, I want to remind you to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Now, AZ and Associates pays me really good to get this going, and I want to make sure I provide the value to you. So if you're a small business owner, mortgage broker, realtor, you will get a lot of insights to help you grow and sustain your business. So as a reminder, rate, subscribe, and review on iTunes, Google Music, and Stitcher. So what is the topic today? Expansion. We all want that. As small business owners, that's what we're looking for. We got to stack the money. We got to go out and grow the business. We got to obtain assets and continue to grow. Now, I was under this false pretense that the way you do it is you got to work very, very hard, and that's all you do, right? And I had this philosophy of FILO, right? And you've probably heard this: first in, last out. FILO, first in and last out. So I remember getting up really early so I can rush to the office and show everyone how dedicated I am to growing my business. And I'll tell you what, it does work, because I expanded and blew up my business. It grew wildly. But I soon realized that I kept on running into issues that would slow me down. Marriage problems, no connection with my kids. I found myself drinking more. And I was just thinking like, well, I got to work harder. I got to work harder in order to make sure that I don't have these marriage problems, which it had nothing to do with money. And, that was my entire philosophy, was just like work, work, work. Now, one of the things that I realized is it's not sustainable. If the first thing you do every morning is try to just take care of your business, and I understand how important money is. We all do. I mean, that's what we need in order to produce the lifestyle that we want. But for me, I started taking a different approach, because the way I was going was almost borderline dysfunctional, right? Not having a connection at home with my wife was dysfunctional. Not knowing my daughters the way I should have was dysfunctional. Not taking care of myself is dysfunctional. So I soon learned that, with expansion, sustainability is just as important. If you can't sustain what you built, then it was just a waste of time. It's a yo-yo. It's the peaks and valleys of the business, right? Because if you're working this hard to build, but don't find a strategy to sustain, all you're doing is waiting for it to crumble beneath you, because there is no solid foundation. It's only built on hard work. That is not sustainable, because there is going to be a burnout that is inevitable. And I see this rampant within our business, within our market, in our industry, which is the burnout of agents that have done this for many, many years, because all they wanted was the expansion portion of it. And I've been very guilty of that. Work hard, but yet no real drive or purpose after I got what I wanted. So one of the things that I do, and this is something that I preach and teach and do every single day, is like, I don't set any appointments prior to 10 o'clock. So this whole philosophy of first one in and last one out, I just threw that out the window. That doesn't describe me who I am anymore. I'm not the first one in. And in fact, I don't set any appointments prior to 10 o'clock, whether it's trainings, meeting with my clients, meeting with my coaching clients, and things of that nature. I'm not going to do it before 10 a.m. because I found out in order to sustain this business and the constant growth, the path of constant growth, I have to be in complete power. So how do I tap into this source of power? This is a process that I learned 5 years ago through my coaches. And it is to take care of you first and foremost. Part of that strategy is, as soon as I wake up, I'm like listening to something positive through my audiobooks or through my podcast. Hey, take this podcast, for instance. Listen to this podcast every morning. You'll start wiring your brain to look for things to help it grow, to look for things to assist you in that growth process. With that, I also take care of my body. I'm working out every single day, whether it's cycling, biking, weightlifting. I need to be able to take care of me. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to have an advantage over those that choose to just go to work versus taking care of themselves first. I will outlast you. That is the philosophy you must have, that you will outlast anything that comes your way. And the only way to do that is to take care of you first and foremost. Every morning, I do these things. Every morning, I take my daughters to school. Every morning, I'm investing because I need to tap into the source of power, taking care of myself, taking care of my family, so that I can take care of my clients and my business. There is no other strategy around that. Now, for those of you that are first one in, last one out, that's awesome. That's great. But I'm going to tell you something. Don't forget to put the deposits in the other aspects of your life, because this is only temporary. This strategy will always only be temporary. I think we all have to go through the hard lessons in order to find out what works. But I'm going to tell you what. I have more energy now, and I feel like I'm in better shape now than I've ever been. And it's because I decided to invest in myself first and foremost. And with that sustained energy, that sustained vitality allows me to come in here and show up powerfully, to share my insights, not only with my agents, but with you and with my clients. This is what it's all about. So as you start looking about the expansion game, understand that there's also another element to this, which is the sustainability game. How much can you sustain this? And listen, some of us have our backs against the walls, where all we can focus on is making money and go after it. But also know that you have other responsibilities. Otherwise, you will be a fly-by-night agent, a fly-by-night entrepreneur and business person that puts it all on the table on one aspect of their lives and then wonder how it all failed. Oftentimes for small business owners, it's not your skill set towards the business. It's what happens outside of the business. It's what's happening in your marriage, what's happening in the outside influence, your personal life. That's what throws off small business owners. So if there is no foundation, anytime there's an obstacle, you will falter, you will fail, and keel over. Those are the facts. Those are the things that happen. And in this industry of realtors, only a small fraction actually make it. And I'll tell you what, you have to be mentally strong in order to get what you want. So with that being said, don't focus so much with first in, last out strategy. Focus on how you can take care of yourself, expand your mind, expand your skill sets in order to go after what you want. Now, I also want to get into another conversation here. And it has to go with the stories of what we thought we had. I just recently met with an agent, and it's something that happens often, where I meet with individuals that have been licensed for a long time. And for some reason or another, they're not succeeding at the level of a lot of new agents coming in. And there's always these great elaborate stories of why they're not there, or this false pretense that they were successful at one time, but because something tragic happened to them, they haven't been able to repeat it. And one of those stories is the market crash. The story of the market crash. So when I ask them, hey, so you've been in the industry 12, 15 years. Why aren't you at minimum of $10 million in sales? And I always get the same thing. Well, when the market crashed, do you realize that was 10 years ago? 11 years ago? It has nothing to do with the market crash. It has everything to do with your inability to grow as a business owner. And listen, it was painful for all of us. It was painful for all of us. It hit us hard. If you were in this industry back then, even if you weren't, for you millennials, you probably heard your parents worry about it. It was devastating to all of us. But in order to grow, you got to shatter the current stories and look at simply the facts. And I'm going to kind of challenge you here. Maybe the fact was that you were just riding on the coattails of when everyone else was making money. And it was a false sense of success. And when you look at it from that manner, you can now peel back the layers and say, well, maybe that was a fluke. And maybe I just need to work on my strategies today, on my skill set and my mindset, the way I'm intentional about my day. But if we're latched onto a story that wasn't necessarily true, it really keeps us back from really growing and expanding. Listen, it's been 10 years. The stories I like to hear is like, yeah, the market crashed, but look at me now. Now, yeah, the market crashed and I'm still broken. That's a story you have to let go. Because that's not a valid story to tell your family. You could pretend it is, but at the end of the day, you got to look at the facts. The facts are you're scared. But here's the secret. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to fear to fail. But it's not okay to stay there frozen and attached to a story that's no longer you today. The story is, now what? Now what are you going to do about it? And there's rampant opportunities for you at this moment. The market hasn't been better in years, in a decade. At least. The interest rates are low. Consumer demand is high. Consumer confidence is through the roof. So if you're having a hard time making it in this market, I hate to break it to you, but you won't make it in any market. So that is a challenge and the intention you have to go by. Are you in? Are you really in? And if so, what are you going to do about it? Because those stories are getting old. It's time for you to produce at a higher level. Your family deserves it, not your excuses. Guys, that's all I got for this episode of Badass Agents, special edition. And as a reminder, I need you to rate, subscribe, and review. If you want to hear more of this, go to badassagents.com. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.